Hello everyone and welcome to another Pyro gaming video. The new Infusion system has a lot of people angry because you now have to have Masterwork cores on hand to infuse gear that isn't even Masterworked, and like I said, not a lot of people are happy. Well, thankfully there are a few tricks to get around this and make it easier on yourself to where you don't have to use as many Masterwork cores to infuse, and in some cases don't even have to use a single Masterwork core. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So first things first, how does Infusion work? So in Forsaken, the new Infusion system basically works like this. Any primary can be infused into any other primary. Doesn't matter if you're going hand cannon into auto rifle or shotgun into auto rifle, it doesn't matter. Primary into primary, special into special, heavy into heavy, helmet into helmet, and so on. You get the idea. Now what you can't do is take something that is in your primary slot and infuse it into your special slot. Even if the primary is a hand cannon and the special is also a hand cannon, you cannot infuse the two together. You can only infuse stuff from the slot that it is in, and that is it. Now as far as the cost of infusion, it varies depending on what you're trying to infuse into what, and I'll give you a few quick examples. Infusing a higher power legendary item into another legendary item in the same slot, regardless of whether or not they're the same type of weapon, is going to give you this cost right here. This is 10 legendary shards, 2 Masterwork cores, and 8,000 glimmer. Alternatively, if you try to infuse a legendary item into an exotic item, the cost for infusion goes up to 9,000 glimmer, 15 legendary shards, and 3 Masterwork cores. Additionally, if you try to infuse a blue item into a legendary or an exotic, you can expect the price to go up even more. This is because you are taking a less powerful, less rare piece of gear and putting it into something more rare. But what about the other way? What if you're infusing an exotic item into a legendary? Well, in that instance, the cost of infusion goes down significantly. Every time that you try to infuse any exotic item into any legendary item, the cost will always be 1,000 glimmer and 25 planetary materials. No Masterwork cores, no legendary shards needed whatsoever. Now this is without a doubt the cheapest way to infuse your gear in terms of the cost of materials that you're going to have to spend. Infusing an exotic into a legendary is most definitely the way to go. However, exotics are pretty rare, so how can you make that work? We'll talk about that later in the video. But first, there is one other trick to get you some infusion fuel pretty cheap without spending a lot of materials, and that is infusing the same item into the same item. So for example, infusing a Reverie Dawn helmet into another Reverie Dawn helmet. The cost for that, when you have two of the same items, is always going to be a flat rate of 5,000 glimmer. No shards, no cores, just a flat rate of 5,000 glimmer to infuse. Now, as I said, infusing exotics into legendaries is the most cost-effective way of infusing. So if I wanted to use this 380 Better Devils right now, but I didn't want to lower my light level too much, all I need to do is go buy any primary exotic that fits in your primary slot and infuse it into this Better Devils. Now, once you buy an item from collections, it's always going to drop at 20 power levels lower than your max power. My max power is currently 538 at the time of recording this video, so that's why it dropped at 518. But 518 is a lot better than 380, and you can see that I only had to sacrifice 3 power levels in order to obtain that. And I was able to make that Better Devils usable now in most activities without using a single Masterwork core. This is the trick that I use most of the time. I would definitely recommend that you guys use this trick too, and the reason being is because when the game looks at your overall power, it's not looking at the power of all the armor and weapons that you have currently equipped. It looks in your inventory, it looks in your vault, it even looks on other characters if your other characters have stuff that your other characters can equip. So for example, if you have 2 Titans, it's going to pull armor from both of those characters and come up with the highest possible light level. But if you have a Titan and a Hunter, then you're only going to share the weapons because a Titan cannot equip Hunter armor and vice versa. So basically what all that means is if I'm using that 518 Better Devils as my primary instead of my 541 Midnight Coup, which is my highest primary, When I get a powerful reward, it's not going to affect the light level of that powerful reward whatsoever, because I still have my highest possible power, and the game knows what that power is regardless of what I have equipped. So that being said, you don't need to infuse everything. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen a lot of people making, is they'll get a higher drop and, oh, I gotta put that into my primary so that I can get my next highest power reward. You don't need to do that. You do not need to infuse everything all the time, every time. You just don't. So whenever you get those higher power drops, if it's something that you don't want to use, don't use it. Just leave it on your character's inventory, throw it in the vault, do whatever you want. It's not going to affect your future drops. The game is always going to know what your highest possible power is. Now that said, do not dismantle your highest power stuff if it's something that you don't want to use. If it is not in existence, if you dismantle it, it is gone and the game will not register it. So you definitely want to keep it on your inventory or throw it in your vault until you get something higher than that, then you can dismantle it. You always want to keep your highest stuff in one of your inventories. Another tip is that you do not need to transfer your weapons between your characters. So like I said, say that you have a Titan and a Hunter. If the Titan is your highest light character and it has all the high weapons, you do not need to transfer that gear over to your Hunter when collecting powerful rewards from your Hunter. The game will know that that's the highest possible light that the Hunter can be, and will just automatically grant you that powerful gear at the appropriate light level using the Titan's weapons as a reference. So you don't need to transfer stuff back and forth. You can just leave stuff where you want it, and the game is still going to find the highest possible power level for each of your individual characters. Now the last thing that I want to point out before ending this video is that although you might not always have your highest power equipped, like I said, the game will still know what your highest possible power is. However, your light level honestly does not matter all that much in 90% of the activities in this game. The only activities that you're going to want to have your highest possible power level equipped is going to be things like the Last Wish Raid and some of the higher tiers of the Blind Well. Aside from those two activities and Iron Banner, you really don't need your highest power stuff equipped. You don't need to be max light to do, a strike or patrol the Dreaming City. So keep that in mind. Save those Masterwork cores for when they matter. Don't infuse every little thing you get. That's going to bring this video to an end. If you enjoyed it, click like. If you're new to the channel, click subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, I fucking love you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.